As they said before, I'm Leo, coming from Sweden, working together with SHL as a training consultant. I've been doing that since a lot of years, as you could see on my trainer certification number. Gonna have a short presentation, and people saying BGP is never short, but in this case it's gonna be, because I'm not going to go into exactly what IPv6, how it's working and how you do the addressing and so on. I'm going to do so you guys see actually how you quickly could start using your RIPE assigned IP addresses, even if your upstream provider is not providing it for you. So just going to show you the small steps needed, and then afterwards you could come up to me if you have any questions how to do it and so on. But there's a couple of things you need to think about first. And here's the objects that we're going to go through. We're actually just going to do the BGP pairing with Hurricane Electric. And we're going to do an OSPF version 3 connection internally, so you could actually spread it further down your chain inside your network. Now they're coming changing my equipment here. I hope it's not going to affect anything. There's a couple of things you need to think about. There's no link. I'm running it on wireless now instead. First of all, you have two accounts that's going to be very important for you. One is your RIPE Lear account. And that one you don't want to have people go in and hack for you. So in my case, I'm using Google Authenticator as a secondary login. So you both have your username, your password, and then you get the 6-digit number that's actually always changing. The same thing I'm doing on Hurricane Electric account, mainly for the same reason. If that one gets hacked, then you're going to have problems in the long run. Now I got my link back. Yeah. Second of all, we have inside RIPE, you have something called resource certification. This is used for filtering some of the traffic, not on all routers, but a lot of routers around the world. So you go in there, you do your root organite authorization, ROA, for your IP series. It could also be going down to certain smaller networks than your big one. So for instance, if you have more than one AS number and you're going to give out some parts of your network to another AS number, then you could go down and fine-grain that certification. What you're also going to need to do before we even start thinking about doing anything together with Hurricane Electric, you need to add the route originator object into your IP series. Otherwise, they're not going to accept it further on. And a lot of actually router setups is filtering on this one also on top of that. So, to do a pairing with Hurricane Electric, is anyone here already doing it? 1, 2, okay. At least we have 3 of them doing it. So hopefully when we're finished here with this MUM, this hall is going to be used, every one of it. You need to first go in and get your account. That's not complicated. You go to Tunnel Broker and just type in what you want to have there, more or less. After that, you need to go into your IP series and your AS number settings in RIPE. You need to update your admin C and your tech C contact details. So it's actually going to reflect what email address you're going to use when you start contacting Hurricane Electric, or anyone you actually want to pair with. You send an email to Hurricane Electric on IPv6 at hurricanehe.net, saying that I'm this person, this is my email address, this is my AS number, this is my subnet, I'm going to start pairing with you guys. That's going to take about 2 to 3 days for them to actually process, but you could still go on and do the rest of the work. You go into your account, you press create BGP tunnel. Once that's done, you could actually start doing the configuration of your system. They're going to send you the details exactly how it's going to be done. I know that this one is not that big, but what you could see here, the different areas in the world where they have the tunnel service. You type in your AS number and your subnet. And after that, you're going to get the IPs that you're going to connect to. So, as usual when I'm standing here, I'm going to do something live because I think it's better to actually show how we do it. The tunnel is not going to go straight to Hurricane Electric because I'm going to do it towards my server back home. In this case, we're still going to get the full IPv6 routing table coming down here, and we're going to announce a /48 network from here. This is going to be aggregated further up in the internet on my router back home. That's actually aggregating it down to /29. So it's just a single address going out on the routing table from this site. But we're still going to have a public IP coming on my laptop in a while. So, now move over here. I just need to get rid of the extra cable. Okay, we need to do a couple of things here. In this case, if you look at my IPs here, you see that I have one dynamic address here. To be able to do this towards my router back home, I've done an Sstp tunnel, mainly because I want to have a 1500 MTU link to do everything on, and that I also have full control of the IP series. We start up by adding a new interface, and that's going to be an IPv6 to 4 tunnel. I have my local address, and that's the one I'm having on my Sstp tunnel. The remote address is on the other side. That's on my router back home. And as you see here, it directly goes running, and that's actually the idea with it. Next thing is that I need to put an IP on this one. And now we're talking of IPv6. I already did this before, and it actually remembered what interface. In this case, this is my routing interface that I'm going to actually do the pairing on. So here I have my IP, that's 2A05, it starts with, and then in the end I have a 2/64. My BGP router on the other side is going to end with 1, so for doing it simple for me, I'm just going to do a copy of this one. So now we need to start to work with our BGP. We have done the basic settings to actually get communication from here to where the BGP server is standing. As I'm doing this internally inside my own network, I'm going to use 65530. That's an internal BGP non-public AS number. On the instance, I don't do any settings for the moment at all, because we're going to do that together with network settings and aggregation settings instead. to be a little bit more control of it. We start with the pairing. This is my pairing setting. And the IP for the pairing router is going to be this one. 2 was on this side and 1 is on the other side. I have a remote AS number. In this case, actually, it is the public one. And I also need to go in here, because it's an IPv6 tunnel we're going to do. So we need to enable IPv6. If you have an upstream provider giving you proper connectivity directly, you could probably have both IPv6 and IPv4 on the same pairing setting. And in this case, we're only going to have an IPv6 going. Just give it a couple of seconds and it should start propagate. Now it says established. And we see now it starts counting routes coming down. So far we have 9,000 of them and it's going to be about 26,000. Actually this is running on a 962, as it's not a big one, but at least it could prove the concept of how to do it. So far we are only receiving IPs. We're not sending out what IP we are running on or nothing. So we're getting the routing table, but we now need to start sending out our own IPs from this side. On my local interface, I've already added a network. So what I now need to do is go into the BGP and actually tell this network I want to be transmitted out. In this case, I'm going to do a network that's a /48. I go plus. And I need to have a small note here to actually remember all IPs. And then also, as I'm now going to have 2 small /64 networks, I want to have those ones aggregated to one big one. So actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the same IP series once again. Just copy it down and go in to do an aggregation of it. That way it's only going to be one big network going to be sent out to the world instead of all my small 64s. And we include internal or incomplete. It's going to summarize and all attributes is going to be sent out. So now let's see, do we have a transmission of our network? So we go to routing, BGP, advertise, and we do a print. And if you see in the bottom down behind me here, we have our IP series, we have our /48 going. So if I'm going to go in now to a home page, hopefully, let's see if it's working. We just do a test here. We got a normal test first. It takes a while before I actually start working on my laptop. This is my public address directly out on the internet now. So far we know that IP version 6 is running from my laptop up to Sweden, to Hurricane Electric, and then out to the rest of the world. Now we want to add an extra subnet into our internal network, to a secondary route actually. So we need to start doing OSPF version 3. And it's actually, OSPF version 3 is much easier to run than the normal OSPF. It's less than half the settings you could do on it. We start by going to routing, OSPF version 3. We go into the instance, and in this case, I want to send default gateway to next router. So I have always redistribution of the default route. I'm redistributing connected routes. And next, I have a bridge on the inside, so I'm enabling that interface actually to just be talking OSPF. And usually I'll do like this and put a priority of 255 on the master interface, just to be 100% sure which one is actually going to be the one deciding who is going to be the master in the local OSPF network. So now it says it's waiting. Of course it's waiting because we haven't configured the client router, that's our downstream router. Now we use a nice feature in the new version of that we actually could have more than one window open easily. This is my client router in this case. Go back to instance here again. Redistribute connected, because I want my IPs that I have on it to be connected out later on. We go to interface. In this case, it's backbone still, and interface 1 is the one facing my main BGP router in this case. We just enable it. Give it a couple of seconds, and it says backup. That means that this one is actually the one that's a backup in the network. If there's more than one OSPF client in the network, they're going to start talking to each other. And hopefully now, if I go into the first router, because the thing is, on this one, I have already added IP version 6 address on the inside. You see here on the top here, we have a bridge. And that's the next subnet on our IP version 6. So let's go to the other one and see if that network shows up. We go IP version 6. If I take routes now here, you see this is the world. So it's a little bit tricky to see my small network here. But you see you have all the 48s and so on. So what we could do now is actually to plug my computer to the next route and see if we get out to the world again. And hopefully I'm getting a new IP on IP version 6 still. I'm still having internet at least, so that seems like something is correct. Next question is if I have the rest. But what we also could do here before we go further ahead, let's go into this one and check one thing. Do we have default gateway coming on our routes? Yes, we are. Actually means that this route is already connected further out and everything is transmitted further out also. So now we actually have an IP version 6, BGP peering, quickly done. And it's about 20 minutes work for doing it. And that was here. If you sit home in a nice environment, it would be even faster. That was the proof of concept of how to do a very, very quick and easy way of BGP peering. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Leo. Questions?
At least there is one there.
Just a short question about Hurricane Electric. Is the tunnel for free? Is it unlimited? Or there are any limitations?
You get approximately 20 megabits of traffic on it. And today on IPv6, that's more than sufficient. In my case, I have 1,000 clients and a server base. And I've never seen more than 10 megabits of traffic on it, even if I have more than gig capacity coming in. And it's totally free.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Thank you for me then.
Thank you, Leo.
I'm going to stay here during the whole month, but I'm going to change shirt to a black that says trainer instead, so you don't miss me.
Okay, so our next presentation will be by Andis Ariņš, and the title is How to Choose the Right VPN for You.